Welcome back to the FPL deadline stream. It is early, the deadline is tomorrow, but I'm still on holiday and I'm traveling tomorrow, so maybe the flight's not at the right time, but it doesn't matter. I'm here and we can discuss all the latest updates. And just half an hour ago, maybe 1 hour ago, we got the news that Allison will miss out in Double Gameweek 25. He's got a hamstring problem, so Kelleher at 3.7 million, I believe, could be the best option in goal at only 3.7 million. So that's a big update. Trent Alexander-Arnold obviously will miss Double Gameweek 25. The updates came a few days ago. Pedro Porro is going to miss Double Gameweek 25. There is so much to unpack. Mohamed Salah is in contention and could even start tomorrow. My guess is that he'll be on the bench and then possibly start against Luton Town in the second game of Double Gameweek 25 just to get the minutes up, his match sharpness and rhythm in preparation for the Carabao Cup final, which obviously leads to the blank for Liverpool in blank gaming 26. I'm going to go for a super chat first and then go through your questions and comments and greet everybody. Thank you, Ray, for the super chat. You ask, have 2 free transfers, thinking of doing just one. Borro to Region and rolling the other. Will also triple captain Haaland. Have doubts on Walker minutes. One Ake though. To be honest, even with Ake, I've got my doubts about him. I know this is the best time to buy him on paper. He's got 8 Premier League starts in a row. Gavardio is out and he's the biggest competitor for Nathan Ake. But I look at previous meetings with Chelsea, for example, and I think Ake has only started 1 of the last 5. And with any Man City defender, even look at Kyle Walker a few weeks ago, you look at him and he's like, wow, he's nailed on. He's starting every single game. He's the best way to cover the Man City defense of the double game week. And then he gets benched in 2 out of 3 games. So it's difficult to predict. You've also got such a congested fixture schedule with FA Cup games later this month. And you've also got the Champions League in the next couple of months. So it's difficult. I do like Ake. If I had to go for one Man City defender, I would go for him. I might even buy him myself. With Region, he's a good way of covering all the blanks and doubles, but to be quite honest, the double right in front of you, the only Brentford player I would want really is Ivan Toney. I think Flecken is decent because of saves and bonus points potential, but even then, it is a tough ask against 2 of the best teams in the country. Overall, though, it is a worthwhile transfer, but just bear in mind with Borro, he could be back for Game 27. He's got a decent fixture home to Crystal Palace, and he will feature in blank Game 29. But it's just a question of when will he return? And if he's out for Game 27, well, he's definitely worth selling right now. But overall, I'd say yes, it's a good transfer, but I would rather go for Nathan Ake instead of Region. So thank you very much, Ray. Let me know if you got all that. Rawan says start Palmer or Anderson. I'd go for Palmer. Ashish says, hi Dylan, is Haaland triple captain a must this week, provided the speculation of his grandma's death? Secondly, is Pedro Porro a must sell now? Yeah, I saw that. I didn't really mention it in my team selection video. I didn't think it was really worth mentioning. He did play a game since that happened. I think the biggest question is, will the funeral take place at a time where he might have to leave earlier and not feature in a certain game? And to be honest, against either Chelsea or Brentford, Man City could easily win the game without him. But I still think he'll start both games, and I don't think they'll have a big impact, to be honest, in terms of his minutes. I could be wrong, but my personal opinion is that it's not a big issue. And in terms of, is it a must to triple captain him? Not really, because you will have plenty of opportunities later in the season. But I just look at, over the course of the campaign, all the doubles coming up and all the game week or the captaincy opportunities. I think Haaland with 2 home games is probably the best you're going to get this season. As for the second question, is Pedro Porro a must sell? Not a must sell, because you might have Trent like myself and he's the one you'd rather sell right now. And Porro is quite good for navigating blank game at 29. But if you are really thin at the back, and Borro is probably the easiest to sell, so you can get the likes of Ake or Van Dijk or any other defender you really want, then yeah, I'd sell him. But he's not a must sell, in my opinion. So welcome Ali as well. Aviad M says, hey Dylan, Saka or Diaz for this week? Salah captain or Haaland? I'd go for Diaz simply for the double, but I do like Saka against Burnley. Amongst single game week options, he's probably my favourite this week. As for Salah or Haaland captain, I'd go for Erling Haaland. With Salah, I think he gets 1 start and he will get minutes off the bench in the other. B-Ball Checkmate says, hey Dylan, start Bell or Van Heck? I'd go for Van Heck. It's risky either way, and I think most people would say just play the doubler, but it's Liverpool and Man City, and with Bell, it's very unlikely he gets you an attack in return, and if it goes the wrong way, I do apologise in advance, but I'd go for Van Heck. Will we have red Dylan again? Yeah, my skin is sensitive. What can I do? I think pretty much I turn red immediately, but then a few days after, it has a nice little tan, but it takes some time, so yeah. Alex Leadham says, first deadline stream in a while. Hope you're well done. Likewise, mate. It's a pleasure talking to you as always. And yeah, I know obviously it's a weird time to stream. I used to do this a few years ago, streaming on the Friday night just before a Saturday deadline. But yeah, sometimes it's quite fun actually. Thank you for the super chat, Ray. Let me just make sure I get it on screen. So have Walker, Foden, and Haaland. So Walker to Ake. I'm not sure if I'd sell Walker to Ake. If you can do it for free, fair enough. But even then, I think Walker starts at least one game, that's for sure. With Ake, he's more likely to start both, but I don't think the difference is that much higher in terms of attacking output, bonus points potential, and also in terms of nailed-on players for Man City in the defence. You know, for me to say, oh yeah, that's a transfer you really need to do. I'd rather sell Bodro and go to Region, or you can maybe go to Van Dijk as a one-week punt. The only issue is that it could bring some trouble for Blank Gameweek 26. That's my only issue. I don't think you need to do Walker to Ake, to be quite honest with you. That's my gut feeling. I could be wrong, but I think that's the way I'd probably go about it. Good to see Jamie, my good friend there, and hopefully you do well this week in FPL. Terrific Tech says, hi Dylan, start Palmer or Solanke. I'd go for Solanke. Against Newcastle, we've got the worst expected goals conceded in the last 8 game weeks. I'd go for him. Start Solanke for Palmer and Estupinian. Yeah, I'd probably go for that. I'd maybe rank Estupinian above Palmer as well, but to be honest, Palmer is such a quality player. Ever since he became a nailed-on starter back in Game Week 7, he's got the most points of any player in FPL. Chatsport says double Arsenal defence versus Burnley and with Trent and Bodder out. Yeah, I'm still open actually to buying Gabriel and going double up in the Arsenal defence, but I just want to go for doublers to be honest, and also navigate Blank Game Week 26 and potentially Blank Game Week 29. So as you can see, my team is a bit of a mess. A bit unfortunate with the Trent and Pedro Porro injuries. And for those of you that are just tuning in now, I can't speak English after a week in Spain, but Alisson is out for Double Gameweek 25. That is a massive blow to Liverpool, who already have Trent Alexander-Arnold missing both games too. Szoboszlai is another one, and he could be back for the Carabao Cup final. Thiago Gaida says Maguire or Region. Tricky, but I'd probably go for Region. Gordon to Jota for a -4, or it doesn't pay because of the risky minutes. Yeah, with Jota, I think it's a bit of an awkward one because with Salah back and potentially starting one of the 2 games in Double Game Week 25, I think that could directly impact Jota. But I still think Jota's worth a punt and he'll outscore Gordon by 4 points or more. The problem is, do you then need to take another -4 to get rid of Jota next week or in Game Week 27? That is the issue, but I think it is worth a -4 hit. Jota or someone else, I'm not sure what you're saying, as in to captain or in terms of buying him. I still like Jota a lot. I'm just a bit more concerned about his minutes with Salah coming back, and I think Jota will probably get 60, 70 minutes in one of the matches potentially, and that could obviously limit his potential, but I still like Jota. As a captaincy option, he's second or third in terms of my squad. I'd probably rank De Bruyne above him overall, and I think Erling Haaland is the standout captaincy option in Game Week 25. Start Gross or Gordon, says Kada. Tricky one, actually. I'd probably favour Gordon just about. Goldhead says, I like KDB triple captain, more goal points, clean sheet points, and on fire. Everything is flowing through him right now. Very tempted just about how big my owners are. Yeah, and also De Bruyne against Chelsea, his former club. He's got a decent record against them. And when you look at Haaland's record against both clubs, Brentford and Chelsea, I don't think he scored against Brentford. He's got 1 assist in 2 games, I think. And against Chelsea, I think he's also got 1 assist. Maybe he's got... No, sorry, he did score a brace in the reverse fixture, actually. So I think it's 3 or 4 games overall, 2 goals. Not great, but also not bad. So, yeah, I think De Bruyne is a really good shout. He's second in my list overall, but I'd still put Haaland just above him, and maybe that's ownership bias. Dave says, how's it, Dylan? All good. What about you? It's actually my last night on holiday. Was at the beach all day yet again, but back to reality tomorrow. Dave says, greetings everybody. Yeah, good to see you, Dave, as always. Shank says, hey man, need help with the team. So 1 free transfer, thoughts. So your bench is Bodro, Dubravka, Baldock, Palmer. That speaks for itself. I think you've set up your team right in terms of your starting 11, to be fair. Branthwaite is interesting. So yeah, I think you've got it pretty much right, to be honest. You've got Bodro obviously missing out. Maybe I would consider selling Bodro or Baldock and maybe going for, let me just check how many Liverpool and City players you have. So you've got Foden, De Bruyne and Haaland. Okay, fair enough. With Liverpool, you've got Nunez, Jota, and you also have to think about blank Gameweek 26. But I would be tempted by Van Dijk. If you can do Borro to Van Dijk, mate, I think that really optimizes your team for double Gameweek 25. Actually, no, sorry. You've got Kelleher in goal. My bad. I got that wrong. So, yeah, your team's looking pretty good. I'm just trying to think what you could do. Maybe you go to Doughty. I think that's a good long-term pick as well. The only downside is blank Gameweek 26. The double in 25 isn't great either, but you could do Borro or Bulldog if possible. So Bulldog to Doughty and then start him over Branthwaite. So BB Defender says Friday night streams are good. Get the beers in, etc. Fair enough. Everyone has their own opinions, of course. Some people aren't able to watch it, and the same goes for if I do it on the usual, Saturday morning deadlines. But it's good that some people are able to tune in. If you haven't already, smash the like button, subscribe for new. We've got over 100 people watching. I do appreciate it. Since it was kind of maybe short notice, so to speak, I didn't even know if I was able to find a bit of time today, but I was able to, and that's why I'm here. Revicente says best midfielder to buy between Gordon, Garnacho or Douglas Luiz. I think long term I'd go for Douglas Luiz. He's a bonus points machine. He's on penalties. And he also has good fixtures for blank Gameweek 26 and 29. I do like Gordon and Garnacho. Maybe not so much Garnacho as an FPL option, but he's still pretty decent from time to time. Yeah, I think Douglas Luiz would be first. Omar says same front three as yours and nothing to do for this week, but I was thinking about Watkins to Darwin, so any advice? Yeah, if I didn't have all these injury problems at the back, I think that's what I would have done this week. Watkins to Darwin and then reverse the transfer in Gameweek 26. But now I've got to focus on the defense, to be honest. It might be different for you, of course. And another thing I was looking to do, and I might even do it now, is do Trent to Ake, maybe even Van Dijk, something like that, and then upgrade Solanke. Keep Watkins, but sell Solanke instead to Darwin Nunez, and then do a bit of a switcheroo up front. So what I could do is Solanke to Darwin this week for a -4 hit, but then maybe take another -4 hit next week to get Ivan Toney, and then in Gameweek 28 when Haaland faces Liverpool at Anfield, I could sell him to Solanke who's got a double game week, and then in Gameweek 29 I could still have 2 or 3 forwards and about 8 or 9 players, but it does involve -12 hits in terms of from now all the way up until blank Gameweek 29, potentially even a -16, which does seem a bit steep, but with all the doublers you're getting and navigating this period, I think it could work out. I don't mind Watkins to Darwin as a 1-week punt, to be honest, but that's just the only thing I'd be careful about is, do you have enough funds to buy Watkins back in 26? If I was to do that single transfer you talk about, I think I'd have 0 million left in the bank, so any price rises for Watkins would actually price me out of him, and that could be a big issue. UTSHO says, what about buying Luis Diaz? To be honest, look, I've said this before, I'm not a huge fan of Diaz as an FPL option, but he's in good form. He's scoring goals, getting assists, and he's looking very threatening. With this Salah news, of course, I think all the front three, their minutes will be a bigger risk from now on. You've also got Cody Gakpo in the mix too, but I like Diaz a lot for the double game week, actually. I'd still rank Jota above him, but Diaz is probably the second best Liverpool midfielder to go for and the third best Liverpool attacker overall. A very nice differential, actually, so I don't mind that at all. Start or bench Alisson. Unfortunately, it looks like he's missing the double game week. He's got a hamstring problem, so he's going to miss both games. It depends who your other goalkeeper is. You could just start Alisson just in case, but it's not looking good, to be honest. Dryhill says, my current plan is to sell Trent and Borro to Doughty, Gabriel and Darwin, -4. I love those transfers. Preferably, you'd make these moves up front or in the midfield, but I think, well, beggars can't be choosers. I've got 2 major issues at the back now, unfortunately, and I really like Trent for this double game week. I'm a bit disappointed that he wasn't able to make this. But yeah, overall, good transfers. Even if you're getting Darwin for a -4 hit, I think that's absolutely fine. I'm just wondering what forward you're selling to get Darwin. Voyage Roblox says start 2. Well, I'd go for Doughty and Estupinian. Ada says, do you think Bradley will feature in both games now that Trent is out, or Gomez is in contention too? I think he features in both games. I think he starts one and he's benched in the other. That's my take. Gomez, as you say, can play as a right back, and I think Joe Gomez will play there. On the left-hand side, you've got Tsimikas returning, and you've got Robertson. So I think that's the way Liverpool will manage the minutes ahead of the Carabao Cup final and make sure everyone is up to speed and has that match sharpness. Good to see you, chat sport, as always. Tob22 says, sorry, I've just joined, mate. No worries, I literally just started. Are you using triple captain? Yes, I currently am. You can see the white icon with the black lettering. Also, thoughts on Dalot. In terms of Man United defenders, he's my favourite. Then I'd be looking at Maguire, but it's worth mentioning Dalot is significantly more expensive than Maguire. and a few other options you can go for in that United defence. But I don't mind that at all. And if Man United lose to Nottingham Forest in the FA Cup 5th round, then United will feature in Blank Game Week 29 against Sheffield United. That would be an amazing fixture in the Blank Game Week. So that could be a blessing in disguise if United were knocked out in the FA Cup. So I don't mind Dalot. Is he my favourite overall? No. But he's a decent option, actually, in terms of single game week players this week. Yeah, Alisson out, exactly. The news broke just before I went live. I saw it literally on the cuff. I just got home and I was like, wow. It's another massive blow for Liverpool, but Kelleher could be a really nice way into that Liverpool defence, but I don't think I'm going to be going there myself. Terrific Text says, start Lamptey or Alex Moreno? Good question. With Lamptey, I'm not even sure if he starts, but I'd probably go for Lamptey based on the fixture. Courage says, how you doing, Dylan? Just joining. If I'm not wrong, the plan is Trent to Ake, Van Dijk, Doughty, or Solanke, Watkins to Darwin, Alvarez, Tony. Yeah, I might even do both for a -4 hit and be aggressive. It's not that bad. To buy De Bruyne or Salah, it would require a -8 hit or a -4, but also selling Saka, which I'm not really, I don't want to do that. And also maybe sell Foden or Jota, but they've got a double game week. So yeah, I think the biggest priority is the defense, unfortunately. I'd want to do a forward transfer if possible, but yeah, Trent has to go, and I'm going for one of those defenders you said. Even Gabriel is in my thinking, despite only having one game in 25. Watkins or Solanke? This week, I'd rather have Watkins. It's quite close, though. I think in terms of goal-scoring chances, they're both quite similar, but Watkins has far more assists for it, and that's what edges him, or edges it for me in terms of having Watkins instead of Solanke. And also in Game Week 26, Watkins faces Forest at home, while Solanke has Manchester City, and I expect a blank there. So I think the way, if I were to make a bit of a switcheroo up front, it would be Solanke out this week to Darwin Nunez, and then buy Ivan Toney next week. He's got a great record against West Ham, and I can always buy Solanke for Erling Haaland in Game Week 28. Thank you for the super chat, Maka. Very much appreciated, mate. Let me just get this up. And I appreciate so many questions and comments coming in. I'll try to get through as many as possible. A -8 for Trent, Bodro, Palmer to KDB, Reguilon, Doughty. Overall, it's definitely worth it because you're getting rid of two players who don't have any fixture in Game Week 25. They're missing out due to injury. And Cole Palmer, as good as he is, it's only one game against Man City, and you're buying in Kevin De Bruyne, of all people, who's arguably just as good as Haaland for the captaincy this week. He's in great form, as Goldhead said earlier. So overall, I would do it. But if I'm being honest, I do have a preference of buying Ake or Van Dijk over Reguilon. I know your kind of thinking is long-term as well. So Reguilon covers Blank Game Week 29 with a great fixture against Burnley away. And he also features in Blank Game Week 26 and has a double in 25. So Reguilon's not a bad pick. And in terms of Brentford defenders, he's probably the best one. Then you've got Ethan Pinnock. And of course, Flecken in goal is a decent option too. So overall, yes, I'd take that -8 hit and go for it. But I do prefer Van Dijk or Ake if you have a Liverpool or Man City spot available. So let me know if you do. And maybe you could reconsider. But overall, good transfers. And overall, I keep on saying overall, it's going to be pretty good in the long term. So let me know what you think of that. Let's see what else we have. Just trying to see if any members and stuff have had the questions missed. Dave says, damn, bought Alisson a few minutes before the news came out. That's bad luck, to be honest. There's always this rhetoric of you need to wait until the deadline, and I always encourage people to do that when I'm live streaming or making videos, but it's sometimes so difficult, especially for those that are in different time zones and they're not able to wake up at a certain time to find out leaks and stuff like that, and also have as much information as possible. So it can be difficult at times. Venom says, with Alisson out, is it safe to trust Liverpool defence? I still like Van Dijk, to be honest. He starts both games for me, and he's got goal threat. I know it might not be the best goal threat you're ever going to have from a defender, but he's got the most shots of any defender in FPL this season, and that's quite encouraging. No problem, Shank. Good to hear. Start Solanke or Garnacho? I'd go for Solanke. I know Garnacho's got Luton Town, but I'd personally go for Solanke. Would you start Douglas Luiz over Gordon this week? I'd go for Gordon this week. So the way it works is I prefer Douglas Luiz long-term because he helps you cover Blank Game Week 26 against Nottingham Forest at home, whilst Gordon faces Arsenal away. And in Blank Game Week 29, Gordon is very likely to not feature, whilst Douglas Luiz will face West Ham. So long-term Douglas Luiz, this week Gordon. I like the night before streams, a bit more chill and laid back, less panic and more open discussion. Yeah, the only downside, of course, is that you have more information because of the leaks that happen pretty much every single week now. But yeah, there's always pros and cons. I'm glad that some people are able to tune in and having a good time though. Trent to Bradley short term. As a 1 week punt, I don't mind it at all. The only issue for me is that I don't think Bradley starts both games. I think Gomez gets one match at least as a right back, and I think with Bradley he starts one. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly which game he'd start. I think if I'm also looking ahead to the Carabao Cup final, I think Bradley does start that against Chelsea. So I think he starts one game in 25 and he gets a bench appearance in the other, which isn't ideal for a defender. Shank says triple captain Haaland. That's what I'm currently doing. I don't think I'll change it unless if I'm able to see information tomorrow whilst I'm traveling. If I find out something about Haaland, something that puts me off, then of course I would change it. But yeah, the plan right now is to triple captain him. I think he's a great opportunity. You've got Solanke in 28 with 2 home games against Sheffield United and Luton Town. Both home games, of course. And also, potentially later in the season, you've got the likes of Heung-min Son in Game Week 37. He could have 2 home games. One of them could be Man City, but the other one is still pretty good enough to get things done. So, yeah, tricky one. I don't think it's necessarily like you have to triple captain Haaland, but I think of him as the best opportunity all season for the chip. BB Fender says, thanks, Dylan. Could I ask a question? Sure. Start Amari Bell or Stupinian? Wow, that is a tricky one, to be honest. I'd go for Stupinian. I know that sounds a bit counterproductive, but yeah, I just don't see Bell getting anything apart from appearance points. And even then, I think Liverpool and or Man City, Liverpool-Man City, I see Liverpool or Man United scoring enough goals to maybe reduce those 2 appearance points to 1 or 0. Bradley or Gomez? I'd rather go for Bradley because of the attacking potential. And I think both of them start one game. Best defenders, Gabriel Saliba are definitely right up there. I'd also say Nathan Ake, although I have my reservations about him still. Van Dijk, definitely. Doughty, Reguilon's a good option. Dallo. I think those are my favourite defenders right now. There might be 1 or 2 escaping it. Estupinian could be decent until Game Week 28, but I'm a bit concerned about his minutes recently. Sell or keep KDB? Definitely don't sell. You keep him. He might not start both, but in just 1 appearance, in terms of 1 start and maybe 1 appearance off the bench, that is still enough for him to cause absolute damage. Who's the best replacement for him? None. You don't replace De Bruyne in a double game week, in my opinion. That's the way I look at it. Coopsy Coop, always a pleasure. Hey Dylan, sell Richarlison to Jota and Solanke to Darwin for a -4 or get only 1 for free? Great question. I think Richarlison to Jota is the best move. It's difficult to sell Richarlison at home to Wolves, but I think that has the highest upside. And with Solanke, you'd want to buy him back in 27 or Game Week 28. To be honest, though, I might even do something similar. So I'd sell a defender and sell Solanke to Darwin and then do a switcheroo up front. So I don't mind that, actually. I'm open-minded about it. But if I had to pick one transfer, it's Richarlison to Jota. I don't mind the -4, though. I have to say that. Should I replace Pedro Porro for a Liverpool player or should I get Dunk? If I have to pick between those 2, it would be a Liverpool defender and I'd go for Van Dijk if possible. I don't think I'd go to any other defender. Robertson perhaps, but even with him, I'm not sure if he starts both matches. Reguilon or Pau? I think reevaluate him because I did include Pau Torres in my best wildcard team. I think I'd go for Reguilon. Adnan says I did Trent to Bradley, Palmer to Saka, and Solanke to Tony for a -8. I like those transfers. Tony's a great option and very underrated for blank Game Week 26. He's got a good record against West Ham. So, yeah, good transfers overall. I think Bradley is very short-term, but to be honest, any Liverpool player that you buy right now is a short-term pick. So, overall, really happy with it. Why am I doing the deadline early? Unfortunately, because I'm traveling tomorrow. I'm not able to do it tomorrow. So, to compensate, I'm doing it right now. And some people do like the Friday night deadline streams. Would you start Collins or Gabriel? Difficult one yet again, but I'd probably go for Gabriel. Do you see Brighton and Newcastle keeping clean sheets? I think Brighton are slightly more likely. If I'm being honest, though, I don't think either of them keep a clean sheet. I'm not so sure. Brighton, I'm a bit, mixed about because of how bad Sheffield United can be, but I actually think none of them get a clean sheet, which is unfortunate. Price says start 1. Bruno Garnacho currently benched or Foden KDB for a -4. Right. So start 1. Yeah, is that Bruno Fernandes, right? Or Garnacho? I think the way they've been playing recently and the output, I'd rather start Garnacho over Bruno Fernandes. As for Foden or KDB for a -4, Yeah, I'd bring one of them in for -4, and Foden is my preference in terms of the long term. Courage says, any plans to bring Salah in? For me, it will be Game Week 30 onwards because this week, I think he starts one game and gets benched in the other. He blanks in 26. He's very likely to blank in Game Week 29. He faces Man City in Game Week 28. I think the biggest concern would be Game Week 27 when he faces Nottingham Forest away. And of course, if he gets to start tomorrow and we find out, that's obviously going to be very worrying. But yeah, overall, I think it's better for people to go without him until Game Week 30. Of course, it's team dependent. If you're wild cutting a bit earlier, you can include Salah in there. But yeah, for me personally, I'm looking until later in the season. Regan has good attacking potential, but I really like Villa's fixtures. I do like Villa's fixtures, but I think that injury to Kamara is massive. So whilst Konsa could be back in a few weeks' time, I just think Kamara is a massive blow. He's really important. I'd argue he's the most important player that Villa have. Eric says, 2 free transfers, Trent and Jota to Robertson and Salah. I mean, I don't mind that. It's very differential. And maybe go for Van Dijk over Robertson just to be a bit safer. I think Salah's a really nice punt. If he starts tomorrow, I think you're looking really good, to be honest. Would I triple captain Salah over Haaland? I wouldn't personally, but the game is about being different and going for your own picks, backing your gut, so I wish you the best with that. Would you bench Palmer for a double gimmick player? Yes. If Palmer was having a good fixture on paper, then maybe I'd reconsider it. But against Man City away, I think it's just worth it. His effective ownership will be very low regardless. So if he does return, it won't really impact your rank too much. Buying Alvarez is a good decision. I'm not going to lie, I'm actually considering it myself. But I would rather go for other forwards, to be honest. I think Watkins, Solanke are better long term. Of course, Erling Haaland's a massive upgrade. Not to mention, for Game Week 25 specifically, I do prefer Darwin Nunez. And longer term, Ivan Toney is a great way to cover all the blanks and doubles. So it is a good decision. It's a good option. But I do think there are better alternatives elsewhere. Tiago says, a defender to play in Game Week 25 and 26. I probably prefer Maguire over Reguilon to this game week, or double Arsenal defence. To be honest, I think Arsenal defence is the priority. So Gabriel or Saliba would be the top options. Then I'd be looking at Reguilon, and then I'd be looking at Dalot or Maguire, for example. Triple captain Salah, look, I'm not completely against it, and it's about being different. So if you back Salah to start both games, or to get 90 minutes and 30, 40 minutes off the bench in the other game, I think that's enough to captain him, and maybe even triple captain him. But I personally wouldn't triple captain him if it was me. Vikas says, hi Dylan, Solanke to Darwin or Tony for free, or just roll and play a Stupinian. I don't mind playing a Stupinian, but yeah, for free, I would be tempted to sell Solanke and buy him back in 27 or 28. Just bear in mind, when you do buy him back, it might involve taking a hit to do that transfer. Now, for Game Week 25 specifically, Darwin over Tony all day long. But longer term, I think Tony's the play, for sure. He's going to feature in blank Game Week 26 and 29. Darwin Nunez won't. And also Darwin faces Man City in Game Week 28. So, yeah, long-term Tony. For this week specifically, Darwin Nunez. Top 3 double Game Week essentials. I would say, well, Haaland for me it goes without saying. So the other two, I'd say a City attacker, a second City attacker. So Foden or KDB. I think having one of them is essential. And one Liverpool attacker. So either Jota, Darwin Nunez, maybe even Salah could be counted in that. And of course, Diaz is decent. So that is kind of the way I see it. The 3 double gimmick essentials are Haaland, a second Man City attacker, and a Liverpool attacker. What are your thoughts on Doughty? I like him long term, double in 28 and in 25. Doesn't feature in blank game at 26, but there is a good chance he does feature in blank game at 29. So I do like Doughty, to be honest. Nunez or Alvarez? Long term, it's Alvarez, but for this week specifically, it's Nunez. So it just depends how long do you want this player for. Will you be selling one of them in blank game at 26 or in game at 27? But Darwin this week for sure. Triple captain on Salah. Yeah, I've got this question quite a few times today. So like I said, I do like it. I do like having him in my team, and even as a captaincy option. I think triple captain would be a bit too far for me. Is Matoma a good option? I don't think so. Not yet anyway. And Brighton's fixtures do turn for the worse in blank game at 29 onwards, where Brighton will probably blank anyway. Start Trent. Trent is not going to feature in blank game at in double game at 25, unfortunately. So you're not really going to gain anything from it. And Højlund or Garnacho? Højlund. Would you play Stupinian or Gabriel? Gabriel. Bada says, any chance for Lascelles to feature in game soon? No. And if it wasn't for these injuries to Trent and Pedro Porro, Lascelles would be the first one on the chopping block. But also with Trent, selling him does open up the funds for me. So selling Trent also allows me to upgrade Lascelles to an even better defender. And that's why I'm open to taking a -4 hit and making 2 defender transfers. Should I start Gordon over Palmer? I would start him. That's what I'm doing myself. Rodriguez says, drop from 200k to 530k. What do you think of a -8 Trent, Bodron, Richarlison for Salah, Region, and another defender up to 5 million? Which one? You're still in a good rank. Of course, it's a bit disappointing to drop that much, but I do think a -8 in this case could be far too excessive. And look, overall, selling Richarlison to Salah could definitely be worth it for a hit, but Salah does blank in 26, whilst Richarlison will feature as well in blank game at 29, looking further ahead. And I'm not so sure if now is the right time to buy Salah overall. Ripping apart your team to, bring him in. Very risky, of course. Region does cover the blanks and doubles very well. I'd just be a bit apprehensive about taking a -8 hit for those 3 transfers. You've got Walker, Stupinian, and Taylor. Yeah, I think a defender for you is certainly the priority, but I'm not so sure about Salah as part of a -8 hit. That'd be my take. Start Shaw or Burn? Difficult one, but I'd probably go for Shaw. Kelleher, keep or sell? You definitely keep. He's going to start both games in 25 now. Thank you, Maka, for the super chat. Genuinely appreciate it as always. Thanks, mate. I have Foden, Haaland, adding KDB, and for Paul, the 26-29 blanks and budget, hence Region plus Doughty. Am I playing too far ahead? Wildcard 30, free of 34, 37 bench boost. I've actually got a very similar plan. Right now, that's currently the exact game because I'm looking to use those chips. Look, Doughty for me is a good option regardless because of his attacking potential. He created 9 chances in Game Week 24, and for his price, he offers great value. 2 doubles in the next 4 game weeks. What more can you ask for? Even though he blanks in 26, he's so cheap that you can easily bench him, and he's got a great chance of featuring in blank Game Week 29. So overall, I don't think you're looking too far ahead. They're good plans. You cover the blanks and doubles very well, and it can prevent hits later down the line. So I'm not completely against it. I was just saying, for me personally, I'd rather go for a City or Liverpool defender, but you've already got a triple up in City with KDB coming in. And I do understand your opinion about the Liverpool blanks in 26 and 29. So that also prevents, or it puts me off from buying Darwin and or Van Dijk for my own team. So overall, good transfers. I would go ahead with them, especially Doughty. If I had to pick one, Doughty over Region is my preference. Coopsy Coop says, I'm really hesitant to sell Richarlison as Wolves look really leaky and Jota might be bench one of the double. Yeah, you're right. I understand that, especially if you sell Richarlison to Jota for a hit. That would be off-putting. And the good thing about Richarlison is they will feature in blank game 29, whilst Jota is very unlikely to do so. Elliot Enright says, I have Trent and Bodro like yourself. What are your plans? I've been all over the place in the last couple of days thinking about this. But I think either Ake or Van Dijk is very likely to come in. Looking longer term, as Alan says, for example, bringing in a Doughty or a Region could be the way to go. But I'm looking to replace one of them. Trent, of course, is the one to sell first. So Trent to Ake is probably the most likely scenario for me. But I don't know, there's something at the back of my head that says I'm not sure if Ake starts both games, and that really puts me off. It would not surprise me at all if Ake was benched against Chelsea. So yeah, I'm going to have to think about it, but Trent will definitely make way. And I might even make a second transfer, but it will be up front. So Solanke to either Darwin or Ivan Toney. And that'd be for a -4 hit. Good to see you, Beardy, as always. Bench Solanke or Palmer? I would bench Palmer there, Mukherjee. Triple Captain Haaland, yeah, that's my current plan. A lot of people are doing it, so it's nothing new, nothing groundbreaking, unfortunately. Luis or Palmer to start? You're talking about Luis Diaz, right? Or no, you're Douglas Luiz. That's a good question. That's a very good question. I'd probably go for Douglas Luiz, but it's really close. Both penalty takers, so you might need a bit of luck either way in terms of nailing on the right starter. Nevo says, Saka and Gabriel in, already have Saliba. Trent and Palmer out for a -4. Good question. I probably wouldn't do it. And if I had to prioritize one move, it would be Palmer to Saka, but I'm guessing you need to sell Trent and get Gabriel in order to afford the other move. And I'm just thinking what other defenders you have. But yeah, I don't think I'd do it. As good as Saka is, he does blank, or he's very likely to in Game Week 29. And he doesn't have a double Game Week anytime soon. And with Solanke, yeah, he's still got a decent fixture against Newcastle away. So overall, great transfers. Saka and Gabriel could certainly pay off that hit. I'm just a bit concerned overall about benching Solanke. That's my big question for a -4 hit. You know what? I'd say live a little. I'd say go ahead with it, but there's a bit of a concern there with the transfers, just a little bit, and I do like Solanke slightly for Game Week 25. What's the minimum number of double Game Week players that we should have? Ideally, I'd say 5. I've currently got 3, basically. Well, yeah, 3 with Trent missing out, which definitely was a massive blow for my team. I might bring in a 1 or 2 more and get to 5, but it's not looking great for me. Will you upgrade Gordon or Solanke with the money from Trent? Potentially Solanke, and then go back to Solanke in 27 or 28, and it could be Solanke to Watkins, or to Darwin or Tony. So that's what I could end up doing. I could actually sell Watkins to Darwin for free right now, but I need to address the defense. Worth doing Solanke to Tony now and bring Solanke back in 27? Yes, but don't sell Tony in 27. I think the way you could do it is sell Haaland to Solanke in 28 when Haaland faces Liverpool and Solanke has that double. I think that's the way you can make it work. Songesso, good evening to you as well. Which one of these attackers would you bench this week? Saka, Barkley, Richarlison, Gordon, and Watkins. That's extremely difficult, to say the least. I'd just start the double Game Week player there in Barkley. Richarlison against Wolves, I'd start. Saka, definitely start against Burnley. I'd probably bench Gordon if I had to pick one. Ben X Edit says, who should I sell? Pedro Porro for? My budget is 5.4 million, and can I triple captain Solanke in 28? Of course you can. That's a decent alternative. Better fixtures on paper than Erling Haaland. The big problem with that, though, is it's Erling Haaland, it's Man City with 2 home fixtures, and with Bournemouth, they could have an off day or even 2. But yeah, I definitely don't mind that. Right now, Solanke is another great alternative for the triple captaincy. As for your first question, I'd say either Nathan Ake or Doughty. That's what I'd probably go for. Maybe even a second Arsenal defender. I'm not sure if you have one already, but Gabriel Saliba look really good. Saliba would be a bit above that price threshold. So the 3 defenders I'd recommend to you, Ben, are Gabriel, Doughty, and Ake. Is Taylor playing? There is a chance he's very close to return, but yeah, Vincent Kompany gives nothing away in his press conferences. Would you start Garnacho or Palmer? Yeah, I'd start Garnacho. One of the few times I would this season. Malpai for Watkins? No chance for me. Absolutely not. What effective ownership do you think Haaland will have this week? Great question. I think it's definitely above 150%. Maybe close to 200. I think that'd be my take. Probably 160, 170. Palmer or Gordon to start. I'm currently going for Gordon, and I'd probably just recommend that to everyone else watching. But Haaland will have minimum minutes. I'm not sure about he will have minimum minutes. I don't think that's a guarantee. It's a possibility, but yeah, let's wait and see. I think the funeral takes place a couple of days after Double Game Week 25 ends for Man City, so it's one to monitor, but I don't think it will affect his minutes that much. UTSHO says, I have defense, Bell, Trippier, Saliba, Estupinian, Gusto, mid, Gross, Foden, Richarlison, Saka, Palmer, forwards, Haaland, Watkins, Solanke. I have 2 free transfers. Please suggest. I wish I had 2 free transfers personally, but yeah, looking at your team, I'd sell Gusto if possible, but let's see what else you could do. Okay, I don't know how much money you have in the bank. That would be my biggest gripe. Because if you don't have much to play with, you might need to make a downgrade elsewhere in order to make the moves you really want to make. So you don't have any Liverpool players at all. Despite them blanking in 26, I would recommend 1 or 2 at the very least. So yeah, Palmer to Jota is ideal. It certainly is. Then I'd be looking at... I know you've got Bell who has the double, but I'm not really fancying that. So yeah, if you've got the funds, I would say Gusto to Ake, and I would also do Palmer to Jota, but I'm not sure if you have those funds. Trent and Solanke out for Van Dijk and Darwin -4. I like the moves in isolation, but in Game Week 26, that could be a big problem if you've got a triple up in Liverpool, you've got Palmer and maybe a Spurs player or 2, because you might be forced into taking massive hits or even using the free hit chip in blank Game Week 26. But overall, for this week specifically, I like the Van Dijk and Darwin transfers, but maybe I would reconsider and buy Ake instead of Van Dijk, for example, or Tony instead of Darwin rather than getting 2 Liverpool players for a -4 hit. I think that's what I would do. Alisson has suffered hamstring injury. One more issue for Liverpool. Understand Alisson will undergo tests on Saturday to clarify how serious the injury is and how long he will be out for. Yeah, exactly that. A hamstring problem, even for a goalkeeper. I will see him out for a couple of weeks, you would imagine. He might even be a massive doubt for the Carabao Cup final, but I'm sure Liverpool do everything in their power to have Alisson available for that match. Elliot says, I have 3 red flag players in my defence. Yeah, I'm going to get either Ake or Van Dijk. If I did get both of them, would I be in danger with no Liverpool attacker? Could their games be low scoring? I think both games will be quite high scoring. I'd rather have Liverpool attackers than defenders, to be honest, but you could also argue there's going to be more rotation for the attackers with Salah coming back into the equation, and you've got Cody Gakpo, who does go under the radar. Patrick says, hi Dylan, played my wildcard last week with bench boost in mind this week, but I'm not sure. My bench is Kaminsky, Garnacho, Maguire and Van Hecke. It's a good bench. It's definitely worth a bench boost, but I do think the triple captain on Haaland is more appealing, at least for me personally. But you did take the hits, of course. You set up your team in such a way to optimize the bench boost for now, but maybe that bench could look as good, if not even stronger, in a couple of weeks' time, maybe even for Double Gameweek 28, for example. How do you plan to attack the blanks next week? Saludos, Dylan. Igualmente, Chivas. It's difficult, to be honest. It is difficult. I'm looking better for blank Gameweek 26 than I am for Double Gameweek 25, I think. And what I could end up doing is still getting a Darwin Nunez, for example, or Van Dijk, take a -4 hit this week, and then take another -4 hit next week to get to 11 players. But I could easily get to 10 or 11 without, really undoing my team so much. So it's not looking too bad. Let's actually go through a few different screens quickly. We have been streaming already for quite a while, for almost an hour, so just under 50 minutes. Let's go through some different screens first, though. So the FDR has been updated. Bournemouth are top. Luton Town, Man City, Aston Villa and Brentford complete the top 5. You've also got Man United just behind them. And in terms of the bottom 5, Chelsea, Spurs, Sheffield United, Burnley and West Ham all down there. In terms of predicted points, Haaland is top, 17.2. Salah is right up there with 14.8. De Bruyne is third. Then you've got Tony and a few others there like Diogo Jota, Darwin, Foden, Alvarez, Luis Diaz and Adebayo as the top 10. In terms of price changes, a lot's going to happen tonight and tomorrow. Foden, Adebayo, Haaland, Darwin Nunez, Morris, Raya, Doughty, Pickford, Robertson, all projected to go up in price according to Fantasy Football Hub. And those going down could include Solanke, Watkins, Bowen, Bernardo Silva, Gabriel Jesus, Ortega, Gordon, Taylor, Cunha, Palmer, Trent Alexander-Arnold. A lot of price changes are projected tonight and also tomorrow after all the late transfers waiting for leaks. That's going to happen tomorrow morning. And if we look at Drafthound, they're now suggesting Solanke to Alvarez and Trent to Gabriel and do that for a -4 hit. And although I'm tempted by Ake or Van Dijk as a double gameweek defender this week, even Doughty, I think Gabriel could be a good transfer for me. The only issue is that he doesn't double in 25 or anytime soon, and he's very likely to blank in Gameweek 29. If we actually look at stats comparison between Darwin Nunez and Alvarez, their numbers are identical. Both of them have scored 8 goals this season. Darwin has 1 more assist. In terms of shots on target, very identical as well. Darwin's had more shots overall, and shots in the box and XG, he definitely leads in that. And big chances, 27 compared to Alvarez's 12. But the creativity is certainly with the Argentine, with 52 key passes and also 5 big chances created. It's actually in favour of Darwin there, but the rate of creating chances is certainly with Alvarez. In that regard, his expected assist is 5.1. Good stats for both of them overall. If you do have Alvarez, I'd still keep hold of him, but I'm not sure if I'd buy him in right now, to be honest. And I'd rather go for Darwin Nunez for Double Gameweek 25 specifically. If we now look at FPL.Team, this is how my team could look like by buying just Nathan Ake and being a bit more conservative with my transfers. It doesn't look great, only 4 Double Gameweek 25 doublers, but if we then look to blank Gameweek 26, I could get to a full 11. I don't include Lascelles because I don't expect anything from him. I could get to a full 11 by buying Douglas Luiz for Jota or Cole Palmer, and that looks quite good for blank Gameweek 29 as well. So with that conservative transfer plan, I could also buy in Heung-min Son in Gameweek 27 against Crystal Palace at home, also keeping Solanke for Burnley away, and I think that looks quite solid overall. Then in double game at 28, I could take a -4 hit, sell Haaland to Adebayo, sounds crazy, and also buy Doughty. Most likely it would be for Lascelles. I think that makes complete sense. Then in game week 29, the biggest blank gimmick of the season, I take another -4 hit potentially and buy Richarlison and also Ivan Toney for a -4 hit and get to 8 players quite easily. But yeah, overall doesn't look great, of course. That is the more conservative transfer plan. If I look at something a bit more aggressive, this is how it could look like. So it would be Nathan Ake and Darwin in this week for a -4 hit. Then going into game week 26, I would have to take another -4 hit to fill the full 11. I would buy Ivan Toney for Darwin Nunez. I could also just buy Solanke right now. And the other transfer would be Douglas Luiz still for either Jota or Cole Palmer. Then going into game week 27, I could roll the transfer potentially. If not, I could still buy Heung-min Son, as I talked about in the other more conservative transfer plan. Then in game week 28, I can take a -4 hit. In this case, buy Heung-min Son in game week 28. And also buy Doughty and potentially Ivan Toney. No, buy Solanke back, sorry, for Erling Haaland. And I do think it's worth it even for a hit because Solanke has that double whilst Haaland faces Liverpool away. That's going to be extremely tough there. So yeah, overall, that still looks quite solid. But then it's another -4 in blank game week 29. And I could buy Mbeumo potentially if he's fit by then. I think he could be a really nice differential. And I could also buy Richarlison, and that would be for a -4 hit. And I'd also have, well, I think I'd have one more player actually for blank game week 29. But once again, this would be a -16 overall. So a -4 hit in blank game week 29, a -4 in double game week 28, and also a -4 in blank game week 26, and a -4 hit this week for double game week 25. There's a lot of things I could do. I haven't decided yet. I think I'm going to leave my transfer for tomorrow, but maybe I'll just pull the trigger today before the price changes. And like I showed you just a few minutes ago, there are a lot of price changes projected for tonight. But let's go back to my team, back to the pain. The 2 red flag players there of Trent and Pedro Porro. So a defender transfer is necessary. Otherwise, I will be down 10 men, and that would be disastrous in a double game week. So let's get back to your questions. Venkat says Toney for Watkins or Solanke. I'd rather sell Solanke, but bear in mind, he is then someone you want to buy back in for game week 27 or double game week 28. Borrow to Van Dijk and have a benching headache of Gordon, Estupinian, Douglas Luiz and Trippier, or roll and have no bench worry. Ooh, I get that. Yeah. It's so tough, isn't it? It's weighing up the points you expect from Van Dijk this week and also the future consequences of having a blank in 26 where you'd probably sell Van Dijk by then. If not, you sell him in game week 28. But to be honest, I think I would just roll and start a Gordon, ideally, if not Estupinian. Would you consider hits to lose Trent and get Salah? If I could do it for a -4, I'd definitely consider it. But to be honest, I'd rather go for De Bruyne. But yeah, certainly, I have to take a -8 hit. I think the only way I can get Salah or De Bruyne for a -4 is by selling Saka, Foden or Jota, and I don't think it's worth it. Fruit Plug says, would you take a -4 to sell Borro or play Gusto this week? Oh yeah, I'd definitely take a -4 hit in this scenario because Gusto away to Man City, yeah, I just don't expect anything there. So yeah, what you could do is maybe go to Doughty or Region, which isn't ideal, but long-term, it's a good transfer, and it does pay off the hit. Maybe as a one-week pun as well, you could go for Connor Bradley, actually. Mr. Parky says, thoughts with Haaland and his family, but are you worried that he may miss a game? To be honest, I personally am not worried. There is a possibility, it does exist, but I don't think it will happen. Start Gordon or Watkins, I'd go for Watkins. Fortune says, bench Estupinian or Watkins, I would bench Estupinian. Enright says there's going to be such a hard few weeks to navigate. Definitely, but it is possible, and I wouldn't be too adverse about taking hits. It's still, decent. As long as you're not going overboard and taking -8s every week, you should be fine. Maybe Goldhead, but that algorithm is actually quite reliable. So in terms of how the price changes work, I'm not going to go into that, but Erling Haaland going up to 14.4 million, I think it was, is ridiculous, for example. Is it a good idea to bring Salah back? If you can do it for free, it's a nice pun, even for a -4 hit, but would I take a -8 or above? Not really. No, John, I'm going to be traveling tomorrow, so yeah, by the time I come back, the meets will be done anyway, but I actually didn't know there was one going on tomorrow. Start Gordon or Solanke, says Snoop. Really close one, actually, but I'd go for Gordon. Start Stupinian or Walker, I'd go for Walker. Ian says thoughts. Triple captain Haaland, any changes? So your 11 looks pretty good. Not much to really nitpick there. Looks really solid, actually. Really solid. If you could do Solanke to Tony for free, that might be a decent move, and you can buy Solanke back for Darwin in 26 or 27, maybe even 28. But really, that's nitpicking. Overall, it's a solid squad. Triple captain Haaland is what I'm doing. I do recommend it to most people, but I also recommend play your own game. Triple captain Solanke is a decent alternative in 28, and potentially later in the season, Heung-min Son in Double Gameweek 37 could be another pick that really pops about. What do you think about Salah? I think he starts one game, he's benching the other, and I wouldn't really destroy my team structure to get Salah back in. So a -8 or above I think isn't worth it. Potentially for free or a -4 is a decent alternative and a nice differential. I'm 100 points away from top 1k. Do you think it's possible to chase them down? It's possible. You're going to need to navigate this period really, really well. You're going to have to get the captaincy decisions right. And yeah, you're going to have to be spot on, really, be really consistent until the end of the season, but it is possible. It's a really late stream from my country, 4:26 a.m. here. Please check my team in the Discord later. Yeah, fair enough. I understand that way, saying definitely get some rest. Fortunately, I couldn't stream tomorrow because I am traveling around that time. But yeah, I'll try to go to your team in the Discord server later on and offer my opinions. Let's see what else we have. Wilderness says, evening Dylan, long-term UCL viewer, first-time FPL watch. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, I've been doing FPL content since 2020. It's been 4 years now, which is crazy when I say out loud. And yeah, UCL Fantasy is, much busier in terms of deadline streams and views, but I do enjoy both of them. UCL Fantasy is my preference, I do say that, but FPL is still fun. Who is the best long-term City defender? Oh, and is it worth taking a hit to replace Palmer? Depends who you're buying for Palmer, but I think it is worth it. Even for a Saka, or if you're going for Jota for this week only, it's worth it. Phil Foden, De Bruyne, they're all worthwhile. As for the best long-term City defender, I mean, we said Walker a few weeks ago, didn't we? And that kind of flopped. I'd say Ake right now is the best bet. With Gvardiol out for 2 to 3 weeks, Ake looks pretty good for Game Week 25 and 26. But long term, you're looking at Game Week 27, Man United at home. It's not that great. Game Week 28, Liverpool away. Then a likely blank in 29. Then I think it's Arsenal in Game Week 30. So, to be honest with City defenders, they're quite short-term picks when you think about it, but they help you navigate double Game Week 25 and blank Game Week 26. So my answer would be Nathan Ake. Mauro says, you've convinced me. No Salah this week. Still uncertain on my defense. Opinions on minutes from Walker and Stupinian. Yeah, look, I don't want to discourage people from going for Salah too much because it can be a worthwhile punt. Salah's the best option in the game, arguably. But in my opinion, Salah plays one, or he starts one game, and he's benched in the other. In terms of minutes from Walker and Stupinian, I think Stupinian starts, but I'm not fully convinced, to be honest. As for Kyle Walker, he definitely gets one start at the very least. And if you had to ask me, I think he gets both starts. But am I confident enough to buy him myself? No, definitely not. Should I captain Jota or Nunez? My preference is Jota. Darwin has better underlying numbers, but Jota is more clinical, and I do prefer him overall. He's a midfielder, extra point for a clean sheet, and scoring a goal. Is free hit next week good? Depends on your team structure and how many blank players you have. But if you can get to 8 or 9 without taking massive hits, yeah, I think I'd just save the free hit for later in the season. I had to wildcard this week. I'm kind of pleased, says Wilderness Kid. Salah captain with Haaland, best 4.6 million defender. Doughty is my favourite 4.6 million defender. I think he still is 4.6 million. Let me know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Dylan, don't forget, when you sell Haaland, you may need 14.5 to 14.7 to get him back. Yeah, let's not even go into that. Start Stupinian or Walker? I'd go for Walker. If I do the -4 hit this week for Trent, Solanke to Van Dijk and Darwin, I can take a -4 next week and get 11 players out, namely Jota to Saka and Borro to Villa defender. Yeah, that looks fine. And I also need to, basically I'm in the same boat in terms of if I take a -4 hit this week and I buy Darwin, I will need to take a -4 hit next week to field in 11 because I don't count Lascelles. So I'm not completely against it, to be honest. But then think about future doubles and blanks. Are you going to be taking massive hits in game week 28 and 29? If it's only -4s, I think that's absolutely calm, and I'd do it. Start Gordon or Solanke. Gordon just about. Chris Richards and KDB or Ake and Odegaard. Both would give me 9 next game week. As a duo, Ake and Odegaard is better, but I think KDB alone makes that first duo worthwhile. Richards is pretty useless, but KDB is one of the best FPL options right now. I'd probably go for KDB. In Nkuku to Højlund or Darwin and bank -4 in blank game week. I don't want to use free hit. Højlund's in great form, but for double game at 25, I'd just go for Darwin Nunez. Yeah, I'd go for Darwin Nunez personally. With Podder out, subbing cash or buy another defender for a -4. I'd buy another defender for a -4. I don't think Villa keep a clean sheet this week. Ali says, is Jota captain better or Nunez? I'd say Jota personally. Solanke to Maupay, not for me. The only Brentford attacker I'd consider is Tony, and once he comes back, in Mbumo. I know Maupay's in good form, but yeah, if you're selling Solanke, I'd only do it to Haaland, of course, Darwin Nunez, and Tony. If Salah starts, would you go there? Who knows, maybe the FOMO will really strike. But the problem with Salah is he blanks in 26, very likely to blank in 29, Man City in game week 28. So I think I'll make my peace and just go without him until game week 30. I think that's the way I'm going to go about it. Are we overlooking Andy Robertson? Potentially a little bit, potentially. But Tsimikas is coming back. Joe Gomez can play as a left back. Robertson's just coming back from an injury. There's the Carabao Cup final in game week 26. I think Robertson isn't guaranteed to start both. He can, but will he? I'm not so sure. Welp says Trippier or Gabriel? That's a great question. Playing free hit, not sure who to start. Yeah, so you don't have another Arsenal defender. Otherwise, I'd say just go for Trippier and diversify your defense. That is a really tricky question. The thing with Trippier is he generally has a higher ceiling than Gabriel. Arsenal have a better chance for clean sheet this week. And Burnley aren't the greatest from set pieces, whilst Arsenal are the best in the league at that. So my gut feeling would be Gabriel. I think Bournemouth will score 1 or 2. So I'd go for Gabriel, but Trippier is a difficult one to bench. Really difficult. Play Stupinian or take a -4 for Ake. I'd play Stupinian. ZX says bench 1. Tricky with Tsimikas because does he even start one game? I don't even know at this point. So I'd definitely start Solanke. And to be honest, based on what I think is going to happen, I think I'd start Palmer and bench Tsimikas, but he's got a double and he still has a chance of starting 1. So you have to weigh it up there, ZX, and ask yourself, do you think Tsimikas starts 1 game? And if he does, then that is enough to start him with a Palmer. Fruit Plug says start Solanke plus Leno or Watkins and Areola. I would rather go for Watkins and Areola. Difficult one though. Hello mate, currently on free hit since it suits my team perfectly, have no Liverpool assets, only 2 City ones, and can play a whole 11 without transfers in double game at 26. Would you go for Salah on free hit? I think on a free hit I'd be very tempted, to be honest. But if it's a question of Salah or De Bruyne, I'd be going for De Bruyne. Check out my best free hit team video and let me know what you think. But yeah, KDB over Salah. In terms of your question though, yeah, I don't mind Salah at all on a free hit. Yo, Dylan, would you do Trent and Bodder to Robertson and Gabriel? Yes, although my preference in terms of Liverpool defenders is Van Dijk. Yeah, Ali, that question is covered. Jota for me. Kelleher for Leno, worth it? Yes, for free, I think it's definitely worth it. Not for a -4 hit or more, though. Bowen to Foden and Van de Ven to Ake. Yeah, overall, great transfers. Ake, I still have my doubts about, but I do think he starts at least 1 game, that's for sure. And it makes it worthwhile. Start Bowen or Palmer. I'd start Bowen. Hi Dylan, start Palmer, Taylor or Richarlison? Richarlison. Should I wait for leaks about Liverpool tomorrow before making my transfers? I'd suggest so. I think that's the best way to go about it, and I might even wait for tomorrow. It's risky in my case because I might not even have internet there. I might not even have service, but if possible, I'll try to delay the moves until as late as possible to have all the information. Hi, Bowen or Botman? Bowen. Hi Dylan, bench 1. I would bench Palmer. Is Alisson confirmed out? He's got a hamstring problem, so he's very likely to miss both games in 25. I think he is out, pretty much. Juntao says Trent to Van Dijk or Saliba Doughty. Already have Walker. Will he play? I think Walker starts both, personally. I'm not that confident about that, but Walker definitely starts 1, and for me, he starts both. With your other question, it's really close. I think Van Dijk's the best for this week. Saliba he covers the best he covers the best defense in the league. Doughty helps you cover all the blanks and doubles really well, except 26. My preference would be Van Dijk if you're looking for a 1 week punt. Gross or Richarlison? Richarlison this week. Ash says Potter replacement, already got Saliba and Ake. Van Dijk as a 1 week punt. If you want someone longer term, I'd suggest Doughty. I don't have Saka in my team. Could take a -4 to get him. I have the funds if I sell Richarlison. Keep Richarlison or get Saka in for a hit. I'd keep Richarlison for now. I would buy Saka in Gameweek 26 in your case for free. I don't think it's worth a hit to sell Richarlison this week. A doggy or burn to Ake? I'd sell a doggy, I think. Yeah, tricky one because a doggy features in blank Gameweek 29, but he blanks in 26. He's out for 25, so I'd rather sell a doggy. Triple captain Haaland, that's what I'm doing. I think it's a good move. Thank you, Trenix. Part of me wants to bench Doughty and just start Virgil, Gabriel, and Trippier as well. Yeah, I get you. The thing with Doughty, I'm a bit more favourable with him because he's got attacking potential. He can get something against Man United and possibly against Liverpool, although that's less likely. But yeah, it's a tricky one in your case. Buy Jota after Salah back or roll. I still like Jota as a 1 week punt, but I think he's a sell by Gameweek 26. Which Liverpool defender, not Van Dijk, has the best chance of playing both games in the double? I'd say Konate. Gomez or Estupinian? I'd start Gomez. Yeah, better chance for clean sheet, and he might even get 2 starts. He can play centre-back, left-back, and right-back. Borro and Odog, you're out. Exactly that. Luis Diaz will start. Yeah, I think so. He's definitely going to get 1 start, and I've said this about many players today, but I think he starts tomorrow. Do you think I should sell Trent, Pedro Porro, and Palmer for Garnacho, Ake, and Saliba? Yes, I think you should. I'm not a big fan of Garnacho, though. I'd rather go for Douglas Luiz if possible. But the other moves are looking really good. Bench 1, says Kaya. I would bench Pau Torres. Jamie Barros says, I don't know what to do. 2 free transfers with this team. 0.2 million in the bank. Oof. Yeah, well, at least you got 2 free transfers. At least you do. Your defense looks pretty decent overall. Your midfield as well, to be honest. I would consider Solanke to Darwin. And in order to fund that... Oh, that's the problem. How do you fund that? You'd have to downgrade something else. Mamma mia. I can understand why you're a bit, iffy about this. Maybe, sounds crazy, but you could do Dubravka to Kelleher. If your other goalkeeper is Areola or someone who features in 26, I would recommend that move or consider it. But yeah, you've got Ake, you've got Foden and Haaland, and in terms of Liverpool, you've got Jota. Yeah. And as for the Porro move, ideally for a 1 week punt, I'd go for Van Dijk, but you might need to go to a Conor Bradley or a Doughty instead, and that could in turn help you fund Solanke to Darwin Nunez. So if I had to pick, I would maybe do Solanke to Darwin, and I would do Porro to Doughty or any Liverpool defender of your choice. Just bear in mind, apart from Van Dijk, none of them are guaranteed to start both games in 25. No problem, Ash. Good to hear that. I would buy Jota there, Nawaf, but it depends who you're selling. Okay, I'll keep Richarlison. I think that's the best way to go about it. I could be wrong. Saka is a better option than Richarlison, but this week specifically, I do like Richarlison. Alan Watkins or Adebayo bench 1. Come on, Haaland shouldn't be in this debate. It's Adebayo or Watkins. I'd probably bench Watkins there, reluctantly. Already got Gabriel, Cash, Gusto, Trippier, Borro. Who should I bring in for a -4? Well, this week I'd start Gabriel and Trippier. Yeah, I think a -4 here is probably what I'd do. I would bring in either Van Dijk or Ake. Vice captain, Jota, Darwin, Foden or KDB? KDB for me. Thanks for the previous answer. Surely worth going for Kelleher to cover Liverpool defence instead of Virgil Bradley. Yeah, and if I didn't have so many injury problems at the back, I probably would have gone for Kelleher in goal. Will Kabore play? I'm not so sure. He definitely doesn't start 2 for me. Maybe 1 start, but that's unlikely, in my opinion. Bone for Luis Diaz and Borro for Ake. Good transfers. Overall, I'd go for it. Luis Diaz will start. I covered. I think he does start tomorrow. Gordon or Palmer? Gordon. Bench Estupinian or Gordon? I would bench Estupinian there. Region or Maguire? Close one. I'd probably go for Region. My team is a bit like a hospital ward at the moment. Great way of summing up. What's an acceptable number of hits? Yeah, -8 I think is acceptable. My issue is if you take a -8 or more this week, then you take another hit next week, and then another one in 28, and another one in 29. That's where things get a bit problematic. But a -8 is good this week, I think, or fine, is acceptable. Could a -8 on 3 double gaming players be beneficial? Yes, I still think it could. I currently have 2 double gaming players at the moment. Yeah, sometimes you get a bit of bad luck with injuries and stuff like that. I think a -8 is acceptable. Start Neto or Solanke? Great question. I would go for Solanke. And also Saka, Foden, Jota, Douglas Luiz, and Richarlison, bench 1. Douglas Luiz. He's on penalties, that could backfire, bonus points machine, but yeah, Douglas Luiz. Lulian says, hi Dylan, I'm the guy who's first in your mini league. Was wondering if you'd make any transfers, 0.1 million in the bank, 1 free transfer. Thanks. Well, really well played. Your rank must be extremely high, to say the least. Let me quickly go to your team and see what we can do. Although, to be honest, you should be the one giving me advice, to be fair. So let's go to this quickly. Yeah, Lulian, I see you here. 85 points last week, just 1 point shy of 1,600. 41 overall rank. Fair play. From Romania. Big up. Really good stuff. Okay, so let's see what your message says again. We'll be streaming for a little bit longer after this. I've literally got a bar right in front of where I'm at right now. I'm going to go there. There's a little concert going on, so going to enjoy that. So 0.1 million in the bank, 1 free transfer. Okay, so you've got Haaland, Foden, Alvarez for this game week. You've got Jota. No other Liverpool player. Interesting. You've got 2 Spurs players. You've got Palmer, thinking about blank game week 26. So let me know what chips you've still got available. And yeah, you got 1 free transfer, 0.1 million this week. So I think if we look at this, I think what will be easier if I can use FPL.Team. So let's use FPL.Team and go through it this way. So let's put in your team ID. Okay, this is going to be easier. So yeah, here we go. Let's bring in Alvarez. We'll bench Palmer. Yeah, so a defender transfer is necessary for me. I know you could start Branthwaite this week, but I would make a defender transfer. Ooh, interesting. As a 1-week punt, if you are, interested, I think Borro to Van Dijk looks really good. Of course, you wouldn't be able to afford that. That's the only issue with that. And also going into next week, that is a big problem with blank game 26 in mind. So might have to go for a cheaper option like Doughty. I think long-term, that's the best call for you. Buying Doughty or a second Arsenal defender like Saliba. I think you'd be able to afford it unless Saliba's 5.7. No, you actually have exactly enough funds to do Borro to Saliba. But yeah, I think Doughty could come in. Maybe even for Colwell. I think that's probably the better move. You keep Borro for another week and see what happens with him. Let me just undo the transfers because it takes that into account. So let's undo that. So let's do Borro to... Sorry, we'll do Colwell to Doughty. Yeah. And you'd have 0.1 million left in the bank. So I think that's pretty much what I'd do for this week. You could even take a -4 hit. But I'm not so sure about that. I wouldn't sell Watkins. I'd keep the City players you have. I don't think it's worth tearing up your team structure to do that. Yeah, I think that's what I'd do this week. Buy a defender, and I'd probably buy Doughty for Colwell, who you don't want to have in the long term. He blanks in 26, very likely to blank in 29. 27 and 28 against Brentford and Newcastle. Not bad fixtures, but not particularly great from a defensive perspective. So yeah, let me know what you think, but I think Doughty in for Colwell is a really good transfer for you in the long term. Let's go back to my team, and we'll see what the number 1 in our mini league thinks. FPL Diamond, thank you very much. As always, as he says, be sure to like the video. It costs nothing. We're close to 100 likes already. Be sure to drop a like. It costs nothing, and it does help us out in the algorithm. We've still got quite a lot of people watching. I do appreciate that, and a massive shout out to all the channel members and patrons and those that sent in super chats today. Massive legends. Thank you very much for all of the support. I'm going to whiz through these, by the way, since it is close to 10 p.m. in Spain, and I haven't even had dinner yet. And also, like I said, there is a bar waiting for me, although that's not a professional thing to say. Mecca says, start Joe Gomez or Van de Ven. I'd go for Gomez for sure. Bowen to Foden and Gomez to Bradley for a -4. I wouldn't sell Gomez to Bradley for a -4, but I would do Bowen to Foden. Start Palmer or Van de Ven. I'd go for Palmer. Should I bench Watkins for Richarlison? I'd start Richarlison over him, yeah. Would you rather bring in Van Dijk for a -4 or Gabriel for a -4? Depends on your future transfers. So Gabriel helps you navigate blank game at 26, and also the fixtures are better than Liverpool's in 27 and 28. There is a slight chance or a better chance of Arsenal featuring in blank game at 29. But for this week specifically, I think Van Dijk outscores Gabriel. So it's just a question of 1 week punt or longer term. And if it's the latter, I'd go for Gabriel. Triple captain Jota. I think it's a good punt. I don't mind it. But with Salah coming back, I think the minutes will be reduced for Jota. And I do think Haaland's a better captaincy option this week. I've done Diaz and Bradley for a -4. Differential was close to doing Robertson, but I really like Bradley. Yeah, he's done really well this season when he started. And if he starts both games this week, I think he's an amazing differential. But let's just wait and see. That's the big question. Will he start both? Hey Dylan, Walker and Gordon out for Bradley and KDB for a -8. That's so difficult because I personally think Walker starts both games and I like Gordon in terms of single gimmick options this week. But you're bringing in KDB, and if Bradley starts both, it's a lot of ifs though, and I'd probably say no. I'd probably say no because I think with Bradley and KDB, I'm not sure if they start both games this week. Lillian says, yeah, I got lucky. Well, you can get lucky in 1 week, maybe in a couple, but to be #1 in the league and 41st in the world after so long, there's also an element of skill introduced as well. Turner to Keller for a -4. Yeah, I think that's just about worth it. And you can start Areola next week there, FPL Diamond. Not a massive fan of taking hits for goalkeepers, but one thing I actually wanted to mention was that Alisson, in the reverse fixtures against Brentford and Luton Town, got 13 points across both games. So, you know, there is still a chance for goalkeepers to do quite well in a double game week like this. Any defender worth taking a -4 hit that plays in 26 can't get City as free already. I think I covered your question, but yeah, I said Gabriel Saliba for me are definitely worth it. Even Doughty wouldn't even answer that question. Region's decent, but overall against Man City, Liverpool and West Ham, does he keep a clean sheet? I don't think so. An attack and return might save you there though. But yeah, I'd probably say Gabriel Saliba is the best way to go about it. I have all chips, probably Haaland triple captain this week, yeah. Yeah, your rank, I definitely would play it safe and go for Haaland triple captain, but who knows? You're the one who's 41st. Thank you, Elliot. This evening, Dylan, I wish you all the best for this game week. We'll be posting team updates on Twitter. Yeah, so once I make my transfers, I'll post it for channel members and patrons, and then once the deadline is locked in, I will have a post scheduled for my final team. That will be on YouTube, the community tab, so if you subscribe, you'll be able to see it, and also on Twitter, so be sure to follow me on those platforms. Who to bench? Sorry, I just lost the question. Who to bench? One of Foden, Haaland, Alvarez, Watkins, Saka, Son, Gordon, Palmer. Thanks. I bench Palmer reluctantly. Sam Garner, I'd love to go through the team. Be sure to put the team ID in the comment section or do it on the Discord server, Twitter, Instagram, and I'll try to get back to you with some in-depth analysis because I will be wrapping up very shortly and I want to get through as many questions as possible. Hopefully you understand. Bodro to Region or Doughty? Doughty is my preference long term. Darwin or Tony, says Juntao. Darwin this week. I'll keep it simple. Darwin for this week. Long term, of course, Tony is the best play with all the doubles and blanks he has, whilst Darwin is going to blank in 26 and very likely to blank in 29. But yeah, Darwin for me for this week is the better pick. Start Botman or Watkins? Watkins for sure. Thank you very much, Aaron. Very much appreciated. And yeah, there's actually a lot of people from India who watch the videos and streams, which I like to hear. Thank you for your matters as well. Tapas time. I've actually not had tapas since I've been here. It's mainly been Italian food / Argentinian. Dreaming FPL says Trent to Maguire, Watkins to Adebayo, Palmer to Salah for a -8, can do Jota to Saka next week to get 11. I'm not completely against that, to be honest. If you back Salah to start one game at least, maybe even two, it is worth a -8 here, especially getting rid of players like Trent. My only problem with the transfers is selling Watkins. That's my only gripe with it. Henning says, hi Dylan, do you think Salah's going to play some minutes both games? I think he starts one and he gets a cameo appearance off the bench in the other. So I think he's on the bench tomorrow and he starts against Luton. That's my prediction, which you shouldn't really take too much from it. It's just a prediction. Trent to Ake or Van Dijk, that is my big question for the week, to be honest. I'm very torn about it. I am leaning towards Ake because it helps me navigate blank game week 26, and it also prevents me from having to take a hit in that blank game week as well. Lilian, thank you very much as well. I was also thinking to get Saliba for Borro because I already have 5 blank players in 26. Yeah. I think that also could be the way to go. Maybe Saliba for Borro instead of selling... if not, it would be Doughty for Colwill, but in terms of navigating blank game week 26, it might have to be Saliba then. It's not a great fixture against Newcastle at home, but you've got Burnley away in 25 and Sheffield United away in 27. So I think that might be the best move for you, actually. And you can always buy Doughty in game week 28. Play Gross or Solanke. I would play Solanke, but it's very close. What do you think about Palmer to Rodri? Look, Rodri can do well in this double game week, and he's got a decent goal-scoring record for such a budget midfielder. But yeah, it's not ideal, to be quite honest with you. I might even suggest Barkley to you, to be quite honest. But yeah, Rodri's okay. He's not the best option, but if he does get a goal, he's very likely to get bonus points. Powell says, Doughty, Trippier, Trent, Estupinian, Senesi. If for defense, what would be your strategy? I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe I just didn't fully understand it. But with the defense, it's actually looking very solid this week with Doughty, Trippier, and Estupinian. I'd sell Trent, and I would probably go to Ake or Van Dijk. I think that's what I would do. Long term, I would recommend an Arsenal defender, though. Senesi looks good for double game at 28, but I'm not even so sure if it's worth keeping him until then. But yeah, I think Trent, Gabriel, Saliba, Van Dijk, or Ake is the way to go. That's what I would do. Is it worth triple captaining this week? Yeah, I mean, I'm doing it myself, so I wouldn't say otherwise. When is Potter coming back? He could be out for a couple of weeks, so maybe game week 27 at home to Crystal Palace, but if not, you could be looking at game week 28 or 29. That's a long way to go, so let's see how it develops, but I'd say game week 27 he's back. Start Bernardo Silva or sell for other Man City. He does have he's actually ruled out, isn't he? If I'm not mistaken, I think he's ruled out for the first game. I have to double check that. I don't want to give you the wrong information. So let me just see recap on what Pep said today. Oh yeah, he said, Bernardo, we will assess in today's training session. Yeah, I think I'd just keep Bernardo in that case, unless you can go to Foden or De Bruyne. Those are the only two City midfielders I would go to, even for a hit. But yeah, otherwise I'd keep Bernardo Silva. Start Watkins or Botman? Watkins, like I said before. Thank you, James. Massively appreciated. I can't see Gomez getting more than 20 minutes in each game, though. Maybe you're right. But I just see him as potentially starting as left back or right back. And I do think the minutes will be managed ahead of the Carabao Cup final. And only the likes of Van Dijk will start both games. Twisted Parky Puss's team. So Tony in or Salah for Jota -4 if playing. Yeah, I get that. Still not a big fan of selling Jota for a -4 hit, even for a Salah, but who knows? Who knows how this game is going to pan out? I do like the Tony transfer long term. Thank you, FPL Diamond. What are you doing with Trent? I'm definitely selling Trent. It's just a question of who do I get. And the main candidates for me are Gabriel, Doughty, then Ake and Van Dijk. And I'm leaning towards a double gaming defender, and Ake might be the best call. Izzo puts his team. Help me to arrange this team, please. The bench is Richarlison, Stupinian, Gross. Oh, that's a really good bench, actually. Wow. I would start Richarlison. Gomez, Saliba, Walker, Doughty. That is crazy. I'd probably start Richarlison over Saliba. And maybe even over Joe Gomez, to be honest. But yeah, I think I'd start Richarlison. Trippier or Richarlison? I'd start Richarlison. Dylan, who's the best Pedro Porro replacement for a -4? Pretty much the same culprits. I don't know who you have already, Jeremy, so it's difficult for me to answer. You might have Triple C already, for example, but I think Arsenal defenders are still right at the top. Doughty's good, and then you're looking at Van Dijk or Ake. My team is pretty much set up for this game week. Good stuff, and I wish you the best. I still have not set up. I've got 1 free transfer and only 0.1 million in the bank. So it is actually, we've been streaming already for Yeah, almost 1 hour 30. I'll go for a few more questions quickly and then start to wrap up. I do appreciate those that have been tuning in. It is late, of course. The deadline is tomorrow. Be sure to lock in your transfers if you can. Do wait for more news and all these leaks that will pop up around tomorrow. I will be traveling, so that's why I'm not streaming at the usual time. But I'm going to do one quick poll and see what you lot think. But maybe I'll do 2 quick polls as well. Who even knows? But yeah, I've got so many decisions to make this week. I could take a -4 hit. A -8 hit isn't completely ruled out. I could stick to 1 free transfer, but I think the most likely scenario for me is a -4. So which defender would you replace Trent with? I think that's what I'll do first, and then I'll do another transfer plan kind of question. All the kind of main polls for Double Gameweek 25 are already out on my channel, so be sure to check that out and be sure to vote as well. So let's put the names. We'll put Ake, Van Dijk, Ake, Gabriel, and I think the other one I'm going to list is Doughty. Yeah, those are the 4 I'm leaning towards. So be sure to vote. Let me know your thoughts and be sure to get this stream to 100 likes. That'd be massively appreciated. Sorry, I meant Trippier and Barkley or Richarlison and Zinchenko. Zinchenko might not be back, and I think that would lean me towards Trippier and Barkley. Doughty or Gabriel, I have Saliba and Trippier also, says Alani. For this week specifically, it's close. I think I'd rather go for Gabriel, actually. Start Watkins or Botman. I covered this already, mate, a few times. I'd go for Watkins. Well done, Lulian. Have fun, Dylan. Enjoy. Good luck, everyone. Likewise, Maro. Thank you very much. Dubravka to Keller for a -4. I think it's actually worth it. I'm not a big fan of hits for a goalkeeper, especially when they blank in the following week. But yeah, I could probably go for Kelleher. I plan to play Bailey over Palmer. Thoughts? I'm not against that. It's a much better fixture, and unless Palmer gets a penalty, you do see him as very unlikely to return. Yusuf says, Dylan, who to bench? Solanke or Palmer? I'd bench Palmer. Who is the best 5 defenders for the upcoming game week starting from game week 26? I still think Doughty. I would also go for... The thing with Ake is I like him for 25 and 26, but not after that. So I would say Gabriel, Saliba, Doughty, Region, and maybe Dallo. I think that's my 5. Thank you, Fruit Plug. It's my last night here, so yeah, not much left. Bowen, Watkins to KDB, Muniz for a -4, says Franco Brian. I'm not so sure about that. Muniz is in good form. KDB obviously is worth a -4 hit, but selling Watkins, that's what I'm a bit against. I'd probably say yes, just for KDB. But have a plan to get Watkins back would be my advice. Doughty or Gabriel? Like I said, for this week specifically, I prefer Gabriel. Zinchenko to Gabriel for a -4. Gabriel for a -4. Tricky one, because with Zinchenko, he is kind of close to a return, but we don't know when. He's having these reoccurring calf injuries, but I think overall it's worth it in the long term. Who do I bench, Solanke or Gordon? I would bench Solanke. Who do you prefer, Ake or Van Dijk for Borro? I'm really split about it, but maybe Ake. If I get confirmation that he's starting tomorrow, I think I'd go for Ake. Who's better, The Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin? Honestly, I think they're both the same. They're both really good. I'm not sitting on the fence. That's so close. If I had to pick one, I'd probably go for Stone Cold, just for the finisher. I think that's pretty much the only reason why. But The Rock, I'd say he has a better mic game than Stone Cold, but maybe as a wrestler in the ring, I'd probably give the edge to Stone Cold. Haaland played 2 games? Yeah, I think so. Where in Spain are you? I'm in the south. I'm in Tarifa. It's a very small town. Hopefully there isn't someone watching like a serial killer and then you'll find out where I live. Allison is out, yes. I covered that at the beginning and a few times throughout the stream. He is indeed out. So Kelleher at 3.7 million could be a bargain in goal this week. Thank you, Welp. I appreciate that and good luck for Game 25. Bernardo to Doku, no, not for me. I'd keep Bernardo. The only midfielders I'd sell him to from Man City are De Bruyne or Foden. Cannon Fodder says I have Trent, Borro, Cons, and Taylor, just 1 free transfer, no idea what to do. I'd sell 2 of them for a hit, for sure, and I'd probably go for Ake and Van Dijk. I have Region or Dallo. Region. Doughty or Gabriel, I have Saliba and Trippier. You've asked this question a few times, mate. I've covered it, so hopefully you got it. Thoughts on Douglas Luiz? I like him long term. Despite Kamara's injury, which could see Douglas Luiz playing deeper, he's on penalties and he's a bonus points machine. Are you using the triple captain? Yeah, I think I'm pretty much, I'd say 90%. So the 10% of not using it would be if we get information tomorrow about Haaland and the funeral, stuff like that, or if he's benched tomorrow, something like that, which would put me off. But yeah, it's very close to 100%. Dylan, I have Ake, Trippier, Border in my defense. Yeah, I mean, Ake and Trippier are good. Border is the one obviously he's out for this week, and he could be out for Game 27 as well when he looks pretty good on paper. Sorry, I wanted Doughty, but 26 Saliba, but cash needed for Salah. Already had Walker, so I had to go Region. Yeah, that's understandable. It's not ideal with the fixtures this week, but it looks pretty good. Alan not playing both games in 25 due to bereavement. Not playing both games. Are you sure about that? I still think he starts both. There is a chance he's benched in one of them, or even misses out entirely for one. But for him to miss both, I don't agree. I want to save my triple captain for Game Week 28. Well, if you do, then I think it's still a decent alternative. 2 home games against Luton Town and Sheffield United at home. It looks great. Who would win between a giant gorilla and a giant bear? I don't know if I'll get that right, to be honest. I'm guessing I'd go for the bear. I don't know. That could be wrong. Much love from Kenya. The team I posted at, can I play bench boost or is it not advisable? You can play the bench boost, but in most cases this week, I prefer playing the triple captain. Thanks, mate. Hope you have a good game week. Likewise, Yusuf. Hey, guys. Darwin in. Watkins or Alvarez out. Watkins this week. It have to be Watkins, but buy Watkins back. That's for sure. Yep, FPL Diamond, thank you very much. Likewise to you. Watkins or Tony? This week, I'd go for Tony. I still like Watkins a lot, though, in the long term, so I'm not really that enamored about selling Watkins to Tony for a hit, especially in Game Week 25. Who do I bring in for Borderell? I have Saliba, Stupini, Doughty, Senesi. Like I keep on mentioning, the 3 names I think that always spring to mind. So Van Dijk for this week specifically, Ake to cover Game Week 25 and 26, and then longer term, you're probably looking at either Doughty or another Arsenal defender in Gabriel. I think that's the way to go about it. Rune says, hey Dylan, planning a dead end into wildcard 31 and have just enough transfers to navigate 29. 2 free transfers. Would you sell a Stupinian Gross or bring Kaminsky in, which means a hit later? That's a great question. Would you sell Stupinian Gross or bring Kaminsky in, which means a hit later? I don't think I'd sell a Stupinian or Gross right now. I'd start to sell them in Game Week 27 and Game Week 28, I think. I don't think now is necessarily the right time to sell them. As for bringing in Kaminsky, I'm not completely against it, but I'd rather buy him for Game Week 28, really. Didn't have Trippier, Ake, and Border in my defense. I covered that. Like I said, Border's the only one that's a concern. The other 2 are fine. I can't get Ake because I have 3 City players already, so planning on doing Trent and Concert to Van Dijk and who else? Gabriel or Saliba. Any of them are fine, and another one is Doughty. If there's a serial killer, just eat toast. Fair enough. Worth upgrading Palmer to Jota? Yes. I still think it's worth it. Who do you start between Doughty, Branthwaite, and Alex Moreno? Doughty. If I end up not triple captaining tomorrow, I'm going to hide behind my sofa till 28. That's understandable, to be honest. I'd do the same. Thoughts on Trippier in? It's an underrated shout, to be fair. He's a really good way of covering... Well, he's like a nice like-for-like replacement for Trent, let's say. I don't like his fixture in 26 against Arsenal, and he's very likely to blank in 29. But for Game Week 25, 27, and 28, he does look good. And even for Game Week 30, 31, and 32. Matrix says, hi Dylan, do you think Scaloni will stay after the next Copa America? I'm not so sure. He's definitely staying for the Copa America, but there is a chance he does go after that, especially if he wins it. It's just like, what more can he do? You know, he's already won the international treble, the Finalissima, the World Cup, and the Copa America. He set so many records. And with Messi, Di Maria, and all these players leaving very soon, retiring, Otamendi's another one. It might be, a perfect time, but if you're asking me, I have a gut feeling he'll stay, and I really hope he does. For me, he's one of the best managers in the world. When it comes to the international stage, for me, he's the number 1, and I hope he does stay. Thank you, Miguel. Thank you for the stream. Viewing from the US, Oklahoma, I think that is, was helpful, as most Saturday streams are too early for me. I'm glad to hear it. Of course, it's not going to be for everyone, but I'm glad to hear that you're able to watch it and you're having some good fun with it, I'd hope. Zero, I should have put. Yeah, but I did get the reference. Don't worry there, Twister Parky. Henning says, is it okay to bench Solanke? I have in defense Estupinian, Gabriel, Trippier, and Kabore. It is okay, but I don't really think Kabore is a great option this week. I'd personally start Solanke over Kabore. Borro to Ake, Bowen to Luis Diaz for a -4. Yeah, good transfers. I think I'd do it for a -4. Yeah, yeah. Luis Diaz is good for this week. He's not my favourite, but I would back a return there. Luxury move, that's the issue, and I don't want to burn a transfer, says Runes. Yeah, I understand that. Um, yeah, I get what you mean. I think you're fine for now. No one considering Foden for triple captain. Yeah, that's true. He's a decent alternative, but I think just with Haaland, 2 home fixtures, I think you don't overcomplicate it. Maybe that's a bit too narrow-minded or short-sighted. I want to get Jota in the team, but I'm confused to buy Richarlison or Son. Don't buy Richarlison or Son right now. Buy them in Game Week 27 onwards, ahead of blank Game Week 29, but don't buy Richarlison or Son right now. If you've got them, you keep them, I think, for this week. But yeah, you definitely don't buy Spurs players at the moment. More Argentinians to Brighton. You've got to change allegiance. I just can't. Once you pick a team, and I picked Arsenal, they're my local team, you just can't change really. But I appreciate those that tune in today. If you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe for new. We have been streaming for over an hour and a half, so it has been a while already. Be sure to also check out the links in the description below, such as the Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and also the Discord server, the FPL League, and Drafthound, which I showed you earlier. Do you think Salah will start? I think he's benched tomorrow, but he's going to start against Luton. So in either scenario, I think he starts one game in Double Gameweek 25, and he gets a cameo appearance off the bench in the other game. Harry Davis says, hey Dylan, hope you're well. Start 2 of Garnacho, Højlund, Richarlison, and Stupinian. I'd definitely start Richarlison, and I'd actually start Højlund. That would be my take. Thank you, FPL Diamond. And to those that have tuned in, Game Week 25. Yes, Henning, exactly. So if you have any more questions, leave them in the comment section down below. And also, if you check the links in the description below, you can also message me on all those social media platforms and can go through your questions. But take care, enjoy the football. I wish you all the best of luck for Double Gameweek 25 and the rest of the season. And I'll see you next time.